And so I think that's why students feel safe in your class. I mean, that's just kudos to you for that. But absolutely, because she was lost at one point, but still continued, didn't feel intimidated sitting next to Charles. So.
No. Notice at the beginning, because you said you wanted the girls watched, that Lisa and Jessica were very quiet at the beginning. They really, one comment, that was it. And then they started talking as the lesson kept going into the mathematics. That Lisa actually, I remember she said, that one actually is missing a label. That one's labeled, the other two don't have a label. So they were having a deep discussion about how important a label is. So we don't know what's going on because there's no label. Or do they really mean movies?
And I think at times you prompted that in earlier lessons, but not so much this time. But the kids brought it up.
Yes.
So and again, this is first time lesson. So I mean, that's where I felt like, that was rich too.
It was really nice. I thought that they. So when we asked for additions or clarifications or corrections on the student work, they changed the label. So just putting movie wasn't really good. So it's a number of rentals. So I mean,
right.
Which was really cute. And Kyle wasn't the only one.
There were a few.
And I thought, okay, I mean, they're really making it clear, even though it said movies and money, and we could have just done movies and money, which is what a lot of other students had done. No, we need to make sure it's really clear. It's a number of rentals. So I thought that was good. What are or is a main goal or goals of the math department here at Price?
Well, and I just want to give a little bit of background. I don't mean to interrupt. Let's just give background on how long we've been around.
Okay.
So, Kamal, how many years have you been here at this school?
I think 18 or 19.
Okay. So department lead, and this is starting my 11th. And so that comes into play when you're talking about developing professional learning communities and things like that, and strong people on board, which is real critical. And I have to give her a ton of credit because she's been a lead for many years. She's an awesome teacher, and that plays a part. And she's dedicated, and not one student in her classroom is going to fail.
That's right.
Well, we hope not. Well, thank you, Deb.
You for that
People need to know who you are.
We came up with, we wanted all our staff, math members, team, department, to start teaching with big ideas. So we started with that. And then we all met together and designed a scope and sequence with our big ideas. And then we wanted to have common assessments. And so we got together and decided on common assessments, 3 benchmarks, and then a post test. From that, big ideas, we also wanted to have, so all the teachers will be doing what? The 7th graders that come to us from 6th grade, they'll all have a common language. And then 7th going into 8th. They have common tasks. For example, we do piles and tiles in 7th grade, and it is amazing. This year at 8th grade, every kid's done it, and we can always refer back to it. From that point of view, we also we wanted to make sure, after we have the big ideas, we also want to make sure the students can articulate their math. And they can follow a mathematical thinking process. For example, this is what the question's asking, and this is the procedure I took, this is the mistakes I had, and this is the math behind why I took these procedures. And then after that, come up with a general, a proving, a validation. Why is my answer correct? Validate. And then a generalization on how to answer all these type of questions. And then at the end, evaluation of the whole process. So sort of mathematical thinking. And so we do write-ups, reports for the students to do. That's where we went. And then now naturally our next step was to do lesson studies so we could fine-tune our teaching and be separate with it.
I think any additional comments about that from a math department teacher or the principal?
I think that the structure that has been set up within our math department will be sustainable because it is very clear what the structures are in place with our scope and sequence and the benchmarks and the tasks that we have connected with our benchmarks and the big ideas that we're working on, that whenever there's a new addition to the team, it's very clear what the goals and objectives are within a specific time frame. And so that clarity is very much appreciated, and all of the support that comes along with options of curriculum that we get to use with those big ideas.
And Cecilia, being a newer person coming in a couple of years now and seeing that, it's taken a lot of years to get where we are.
Yes.
And so we were first of all, I think we've done a lot of work in regards to building norms and, as a staff and as a department and as our other collaborative teams. And so it takes a lot of work to honor those norms and to make sure that we're following them. So that's been one piece that's been really helpful. A strong math teacher and a math lead is really, really critical. And I think for years we heard there's so many standards. And so, Deb, we're teaching a standard a day. We've got this, and we created a schedule one years ago. Okay, you were almost like a standard every other day. We were overwhelmed, and I heard that for years and years and years. Kamal and I kind of understood the big idea piece. I got really from help from Kamal, I will say I got onto it a little bit more, and understood that how do we umbrella a big idea with those standards embedded in that. And then we had the opportunity of having Sally, and Sally took about a year or so to really build trust in our team, because we know how difficult it is to just come in and say, well, you know, I've got experience in math and I can come into your classroom and help you, or I can do this. And so she deserves a ton of credit for being an unbelievable coach, because she built trust with the staff, and then after about a year we said we need to do this. We now need to move to this process. I'm kind of tired of hearing complaining, and so let's look at what we can do to build a scope and sequence that the teachers can live with and feel that it's not about quantity but more about the quality of the instruction. Go for it.
I think the benefit of having a coach has been, I can't even mention it. It's so priceless, especially because we'll never get to replace her fishers. But we are so busy as teachers, and it is so nice to have somebody we can, Sally, I need this. Oh, I'm worried about this lesson, and she'll bring a whole bunch of lessons that we can choose from, and then research, and it helps us get connected with what's going on in the research world, in the other districts. It doesn't leave us being isolated in our little district here. It helps us keep connected with everything, and that is a huge help. And when that's another pair of eyes when she's there watching what students are having difficulties, and even being just helpful if we're emotional. We've had a tough day, and she's there. And outside, she's coming out. We're living in the world of students and everything. It's nice to have an objective opinion come in. Just like having the lesson studies, teachers are sat back. They're part of it. They might not be the front runners, but they're part enough that it changes how they teach in their own classrooms. And that's what our main goal is. All of us aren't frontline people. Some like to do work in the background, and that helps in that situation. And I also want to mention about the assessment. One of the big deals was we changed all our multiple choice to have half multiple choice and half performance tasks. And then performance tasks we get together. That's the strong piece, is when everybody in 7th grade gives this performance task, and then we get together, we calibrate, and then afterwards we discuss where the downfalls are, what are our next steps so the students can learn. And we have something to compare, and then go back to our classroom. That is more powerful than any professional day.
That is professional development. I mean, that truly is. And that's where the re-engagement lessons occur, and from there. And then everybody's bought into it because they all sat there and had their 2 cents into it. And then there's where I feel like we get 100% buy-in.
Yes.
Whether or not they may be totally on board with some things, everyone feels like I've got to go back out and do this re-engagement lesson. So,
well, thank you all very, very much. And I know that I would like to add a few things about being a math coach. And so it's been a real pleasure to be here and to work with this department. And I have found that my role is actually in a way like a liaison with the teachers themselves, with the administration here on site with Deb, as well as the district office. And so building trust is huge. And I think the other piece too is working with teachers who are very, very excited about what we're doing, and helping those to come along who maybe are a little bit more reticent. And peer pressure has a lot to do with that, but peer pressure in a positive way, because they see the excitement and they see the scores. I mean, they see the evidence of the work that's being done in the classroom. And there are teachers who are coming. In fact, it was really nice. I had one come to me and say, I really would like to meet with you. What can you do to help me in my classroom? And so I'm meeting with him on Monday, and he's been one of my hardest nuts to crack. So it was really nice that he came to me on his own, and we have a meeting all scheduled. So my job then has really been to be a facilitator, a mediator, a person available to help anyone where they are, to encourage those who may be more reticent, to support them, and to support and encourage and move the others who are just jumping on board. So it's been a real pleasure to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it.
Okay, the end.